I like pumpkin spice, but does that mean I'm basic? Am I basic?
This is an extreme thirst.
Cannot get this together today. Back up. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Ben. It is officially fall time, or autumn if you're fancy. So you know what that means. Chocolate samplers and Cheetos popcorn tins. Comment below your favorite sampler chocolate. But I'm sure what most people know this time of year for is pumpkin spice. Yes, everyone likes to shit on pumpkin spice, but honestly, it's good. It's not my favorite, but nothing wrong with it. So anyway, we've made a side dish, we've made kind of a main dish. So today, we're going to make dessert. That's right, we're making garlic cake. Obviously, I'm joking. Today, we're making a pumpkin spice poke cake. I first learned this recipe way back in high school, had some after school thing, and then forgot about it for years, and then had to eventually contact the teacher that was in charge of that after school thing to get the recipe, only to then forget it every single year and have to look up that conversation and screenshots to make this. The cooking show where we cook for fun because cooking is fun. So this pumpkin spice cake is pretty simple to do. By the end of it, it's gonna be pretty moist. It's gonna be delicious. So the only downside of this recipe is it does take a few hours, only because you need to, after you bake the cake, you gotta let it chill. I would recommend overnight, but you don't have to. At least for, according to my recipe, 4 hours. But the recipe is incredibly simple. You only need a few main things. You need a spice cake, boxed cake mix, vanilla pudding mix. If you can find it, feel free to use pumpkin spice pudding mix, but I've never seen that. So vanilla pudding mix with pumpkin spice coffee creamer. We're actually going to use as the liquid in our cake mix as opposed to water. Eggs for the cake mix. A whole can of 100% pure pumpkin. And you also need some caramel sauce. Normally I just get straight up caramel or caramel, however you want to say it. But this year I decided to get sea salt caramel because I thought that could add a pretty good taste. A little saltier with all the sweet, which would be good. And then some Cool Whip. Pretty simple. Let's get started cooking. Quick disclaimer, I'm not much of a baker. In fact, that's probably one of my weaker cooking things because it's far more sciencey than other cooking stuff. Bowl. So you wanted to read the directions of the box. Preheat your oven to 350. One thing to note is that this says there's already pudding in the mix. If you get a cake mix like that, put pudding in it anyway, because who cares? See, I told you guys I'm already having to look up the recipe because I have already forgotten what it was and it's on my phone, which I'm filming with. So, joke's on me, I guess. I almost forgot. We also need sweetened condensed milk. My bad for forgetting about that earlier. So, our cake mix goes in. We're gonna get 2 things of pudding mix because one we're gonna use later for topping. We're gonna use this one right now. Whole sucker in there. Add your can of pure pumpkin. Well, that's just awesome. All that wasted pudding mix. So the recipe I have says 4 eggs, but it also says to follow the package directions. The directions say 3 eggs. So I'm gonna use 3 eggs. See if I can do the cool thing with one hand. I don't think any shells got in there, so that's good. So from what I can tell, most cake box mixes have water and oil. And the oil is just to help make it more moist and so it doesn't dry out. So this would normally call for a cup of water and half a cup of vegetable oil. I think we're gonna risk it and just put a cup and a half of our pumpkin spice coffee creamer. And then generously add some pumpkin pie spice. If you're wondering, Ben, why do you have 2 different pumpkin pie spices? Well, as we've already established, my memory is terrible. See, I told you guys I'm already having to look up the recipe because I
have already forgotten what it was.
So I forgot to add it when I went to the store. Okay, and that's all I'm gonna add to my base cake mix. I mean, the cool thing about this recipe, I guess, as with most recipes, you can kind of tweak it to how you want, but we're gonna go with this. So I'm gonna get out my hand mixer and we're gonna mix this up. Interesting. I did not know that Coffee Mate is non-dairy and lactose free. Also cholesterol free and gluten free, so not sponsored. Oh, that smells so good. Should smell. Smell-o-vision. So according to the package directions, you want a 9x13 pan, which I think this is. I don't know. So, I guess we'll find out. So go ahead and get out your spray that you keep in your Go and get your spray that you keep in your spray holster and spray the pan. What are your guys' Thanksgiving plans? Really? That's cool. I don't know why I'm talking to you like you're 5 years old. Yeah, I don't know I didn't say this earlier, but this would be a great Thanksgiving work party or whatever, or Christmas party. Be a great little dessert for everybody. So we're gonna put this in the preheated oven at 350. It says for 28 to 33 minutes. The directions I have say till crusty, whatever that means. So I'm just gonna stick a toothpick in it, and when it comes out clean, it'll be done. So since this is a pumpkin spice poke cake I think sounds the best. We're gonna need something to go in all those holes we're poking. Pretty simple, you just want your caramel topping, your condensed milk, and your pumpkin pie spice, obviously. And you're just gonna be mixing all these together in a bowl. Whenever that cake is done, you're gonna pour this all in those little holes. So you may be asking, Ben, how much caramel do I put in there? And I say, that's a great question. Then just mix that together. So when you're done, it should kind of look like butterscotch. Now that we've got our filling done, we just have to wait for the cake to get done. So it's been about 35 minutes or so. So we're gonna take the cake out of the oven, do the little toothpick test, and see if it comes out clean. Just by looking at it, I don't think it's done yet, but it looks pretty. For the thickest part of the cake, damn, that took all of it. Not quite done yet. So we're gonna put it back in there for about 7-8 minutes. So 7 minutes later, let's see how it turned out. I think it's still gonna be a little mushy in the middle. Almost. Like, it is almost done. But I'm gonna say like 2.5 minutes. Well, while that's finishing up, let's talk about poking the hole. The recipe I have calls for using a wooden spoon, but all my wooden spoons are flat and wide, so poking holes in that would not make any sense. I thought about chopsticks or straws, but I don't want the stuff getting stuck in there. Chopsticks are too small. So what I came up with is I'm gonna use this knife sharpener that has not been used before, but it's about the right size. Just poke holes like in the cake. And it's not removing anything like a straw would. Okay everyone, it's done. I set it out, I let it sit out for a few minutes to cool down just a little bit. And we're gonna start poking holes in it. I guess there's no like amount or really rhyme or reason to the holes that you poke in the cake. I'm just doing rows of 6, I guess 4 rows of 6, why not? Wingardium Leviosa. Once you've got all the holes poked in the cake, go ahead and take your filling and just start drizzling it all over. Around the cake and the holes. Smooth it out. You'll notice that it's starting to seep into every one of those holes that we made, and it'll just start to spread throughout the cake and make it super delicious. But what we're gonna do, cover this in foil and put it in the fridge and let it cool as little as 4 hours. I'm gonna do overnight. So I'm gonna see all of you guys tomorrow. Okay, so maybe let it cool down just a little bit before you put it in the fridge because it is still a little too hot to touch. Hey everybody, it is the next day. Definitely not 2 days later because I got busy. But we've got the cake that has been chilled. It looks like some of it ripped off, but that's okay. As you can see, it has soaked through the cake and all those holes that we poked. And it's okay that some of it's missing because we're about to cover it in whipped cream or Cool Whip, because we're about to cover it in Cool Whip. Now, you can cover this in Cool Whip as it is, but if you want to give it a little more of the pumpkin spice flavor, we're gonna mix some of this with the pudding mix and the pumpkin pie spice. So I'm gonna scoot this off to the side. it in this super small mixing bowl. You know what? I thought I could make do with a regular cereal bowl, but it's just not gonna be big enough. As for how much pudding to add to this, I would not immediately add the whole packet. Maybe half of it for starters. And then mix in some pumpkin pie spice. And get to mixing. Add a little bit more. Cooking sleeps for nobody. I hope you guys are having a good November so far. So I think that smells pretty good and looks pretty good. I don't know if you can see that. The Cool Whip looks kind of smoother. It's definitely got speckles of the pumpkin pie spice. So what we're gonna do now is just spread this all over the top of the cake. So there it is with the Cool Whip on top. Now if you want, you can just call it quits and be done and just have a beautiful tasty cake like this, but we're gonna add just a little bit extra to it. We're gonna take our salted caramel from earlier that we used for the filling. We're just gonna drizzle it on. This may take a little bit. Oh, there's a big glob. Now, if you want, you could save some of the filling to do this. I'd probably recommend because it would flow a lot easier. I didn't because I'm an idiot and I completely forgot to save some. If you want to save your filling, I would recommend that because it would definitely flow a lot easier and be just less straight up caramel or caramel. And because why the hell not? We're not watching any sort of calorie intake or anything because it's November. Hell, it's 2020. We're not watching anything right now. A little bit on top. It's like a garnish. And so there is going to be our finished pumpkin spice poke cake. It looks beautiful. Can't wait to cut into this. So I've got a fork and a knife and a plate. Just gonna cut a small piece for me because surprisingly, I don't plan on eating all this myself. I'm definitely planning on sharing it, so I don't want to take too much. Well, it kind of fell apart when I was taking it out, but that's what it looks like. It's very moist. So let's try it. This is gonna be very sweet for 6:45 in the morning. Bottoms up. Guess this is my breakfast this morning. So, as with everything on this show, it's not perfect. It tastes really fucking good though. Like, it's honestly delicious. But there's like a weird texture thing. And I don't know if it's because maybe I put too much pudding mix in the Cool Whip, so there's like some powder that's clumped up, or if it's where this has sat in the fridge for 2 days. If the caramel, because I've never used this one before. Maybe it's thicker, or maybe it has to do with the sea salt. It has, I don't know if it's where it's sat for 2 days. It has just not hardened, but stiffened up a lot in the cake because it's really good and really bits and pieces here and there that are, but honestly, I'm gonna call that a win. I think that was good. I think it's delicious. Hell yeah, we did it. So maybe this recipe you guys can use for your Thanksgiving dinners or whatever you happen to be doing over the holidays. Anyways, always, I wanna thank you guys for watching. If you end up making this cake, let me know how it turns out. If you change anything, let me know what that is. I wanna thank you guys for watching and join us next time when we make our Thanksgiving roasted garlic.